What's up, guys? I am so excited to bring you this video today. It's been a long time in the making. A big discovery in the Zombie Chronicles timeline map. This video is going to give you that hidden information that lets you know how we can now read the map differently to gain more insight. You might find it's a bit more interesting than a scar on the face and a lot more revealing. We'll be questioning this for a long time to come. You all asked me to start a zombie storyline theory series, and this is episode 1. The first part will be Jason Blundell, revealing his modus operandi and how he hides his Easter egg, and then we're going to get into the secrets that have been hidden right in front of us, and it's going to blow your mind. Let's get into the video. Part 1, Jason Blundell. In case you don't know, Jason Blundell replaced Jimmy Zielinski during Black Ops 2 as the director of zombies. He's now a senior executive producer for Treyarch. Blundell came up with the entire Black Ops 3 storyline during Mob of the Dead, Black Ops 2. Take a look at this brief clip from an interview with YouTuber DolletJD, where he talks about how he hides things that are important.
One of the assumptions I make when we talk about, big Easter eggs or things that are kind of hidden and other stuff that's going on, I assume that everyone is going to take the code, take the Radiant, and take it apart. Which means anything that we could put in script, and anything I could put in with Radiant, I'm assuming you could just open it up and find it.
He likes to hide some of the secrets for difficult Easter eggs outside of the game. Here's an early example of how he does it. In the Mob of the Dead Easter egg called Pop Goes the Weasel, there were 2 endings, kill Weasel or kill the 3 mobsters. One continues the cycle, one breaks the cycle. We understand what that means now, but back then we did not. To figure out the answer back then, before we knew what was going to happen in Black Ops 3, there are 2 different audio cues at play at the end of Mob of the Dead, depending upon how you solve the Easter egg. If you break the cycle, it plays one tune. If you continue the cycle, it plays a different tune. You go to the soundtrack for Mob of the Dead. One is called the good ending, and one is called the bad ending. And guess what? Breaking the cycle is the good ending. Now that I've given you a few examples of Jason Blundell's modus operandi, the way he hides his big secrets externally from the game itself, we're going to focus on a few external sources. For example, in the zombie comic series, we learn that the Victus blood vials aren't from the same dimension as Richtofen's blood vials. Victus blood vials came from a dimension called Empty Earth, where Zero Base is. That dimension's already destroyed, which means their blood vials are already active, which could be very important, because we don't know if Nikolai actually threw away his blood vials. But you can check this video out if you want to know more about that. But in this video, we're going to focus on 2 primary sources: Jason Blundell's public interviews with YouTubers about the topic, and the Zombie Chronicle storyline map. This map reveals a lot about the original timeline, Dimension 63, and the fractures that are caused as a result of Richtofen's actions in the Giant. They've been documented online in chronological order by dimension, but in this interview that Jason Blundell has, he says,
You have to read the timeline.
I've read it,
yeah,
and I didn't see...
Well, one thing I would say as well is, it's very interesting. People are reading it and transcribing it into standard kind of documents. They may be missing something by that transposition.
When we look at the timeline, we can see that there's a key at the bottom that shows different symbols representing Primus, Ultimus, Victus, and Richtofen. Those symbols connect different events in some dimensions to events in other dimensions. Unlike the dimensioned listing, which has been transcribed on the website in chronological order, these individual paths cannot be listed in chronological order because it involves multidimensional and time travel. So the difference is, these don't list things that happened in the entire dimension as they occurred chronologically. These show the path of each individual group's journey throughout the timeline. I'm pointing out each individual's path because it's important. We need to look at Richtofen. Even if we had Richtofen's unique special path across dimensions listed in whatever order it appears on a website, we'd still be missing something, according to Jason Blundell. Check out this other Blundell interview by Noah J456.
In the image of the Kronorium that we get the timeline, there's a key at the bottom that shows different symbols that connect different events in some universes to events in other universes.
And there's also a physical property of how those universes overlay on each other as well. Yeah.
Is there anything with that timeline that you would say is significantly important that we haven't picked up on yet?
Yes, I think there's quite a few things, to be honest.
So there's a physical property that we need to pay attention to. Now, you know Treyarch doesn't like to release any big secrets in their trailers. If you look at the trailer that announced the upcoming event where we got the map showing the timeline, I know now what I must do, right? Well, when the map was actually released, do you notice something different? Some of this is in black. Some of this is in red or blood. This is significant. There's a key at the bottom right of the map that shows different symbols. I always wondered why they were offset and not centered. That's because there's another key on the map. It's over here on the left. I know now what I must do. First, it's in the text that he's written. And second, the dots around the text indicate something even more. The one on the right shows us shapes, but this one indicates color. Like if it's a weather forecast, parts of the map might be highlighted in one color to indicate light rain and another color to indicate heavier rain. The same thing applies here for the dots. Added to the knowledge we gained from the key on the right with the shapes, we now know to look at what shape and what color to read the map differently. The version of Richtofen that wrote I Know Now What I Must Do in the Kronorium isn't the Richtofen we assumed. It's post-Revelations Richtofen. He does the writing. He writes this in black ink except when he spells the second I, and he does that in blood to denote the blood vial Richtofen, the earlier version of himself, this guy. So he's writing I, post-Revelations Richtofen, know now what I, blood vial Richtofen, must do. Sounds like a far stretch, right? Bear with me. First, the initial entry on Blood of the Dead, or July 4th, 1941, says, Richtofen returns to the lab under Alcatraz where he meets Victus, arriving from Empty Earth with the Kronorium. Upon reading it, Richtofen discovers the numerous timelines documenting their fates and learns about the blood vials. He would later write on the page, I know now what I must do. Note, he would later write on the page. He didn't do it himself. Post-Revelations did it after the fact. You ready to have your mind blown? Let's look at the second entry on July 4th, 1941. The Blood of the Dead. You notice the circle that enters at the top to Blood of the Dead is red. But when Richtofen departs, it's black. Let that sink in a minute. The red Richtofen dies, and the post-Revelation Richtofen takes his place and leaves Blood of the Dead. These dots are legit. This is what he's talking about. Let's look at Revelations. This is black and white because I don't want you to see color. This is just like if it's written on a website, what he's talking about, right? We see one premise trail come into Revelations, then the paradox occurs with the blood vials, and they split in two premise trails, leave Revelations. One goes to the original dimension, the other to dimension 63. However, if we show it to you in color, they come in red, and both of them leave black after Revelations. And oh my God, if you look at the entry on the giant now and pay attention to color, normally the dots are all red, but periodically in different points of the map, they change to black. Now, am I saying that whenever we see one of those symbols turn black on the map, that means post-Revelations Richtofen is there? Not necessarily. It could be as a result of something he's changed, or it could simply represent fractures. Like when this Richtofen leaves the lab at Alcatraz, we see him throw the Kronorium, and then this happens.
You son of a bitch!
Which I believe could be a fracture, but I'm not sure, and I'd like to discuss that with you in the comments below. Now, we know the first fracture was caused in the giant, and we also see something very similar to that happen when Richtofen 1.0 teleports Maxis and Samantha.
Goodbye, Dr. Maxis.
Interesting enough, of course, that's the deception fracture, and if he'd never teleported Maxis to the crazy place, he would have never been able to get into Agartha. But that's for another video. Let me know what you think about this video. Is your mind blown as it is mine? And if this is your first time here, welcome. I would love for you to subscribe. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Then check out one of these videos too if you like. Monty's plan. Monty explains to Maxis that the paradox wrought with the multiverse must be resolved. A new reality can be created, one free of the apothecons, but only if they enlist the aid of souls who had lived through and survived the fracturing.
Come to Misty, you beautiful, beautiful thing! We're going down f***ing!